Welcome back to Mad Genius. I'm Ariel Kashanchi, and I have been first dating up a storm. In the past week, I've gone on 3 first dates, none of which I need to see again, and the feeling was mutual, which my ego doesn't like, but I personally love because it's so much easier than dealing with rejection. I don't want to reject anyone. I'd rather we just not like each other, and make polite conversation until it's like enough time has passed where we can say, all right, we gave it the old college try or the old college go, whatever that expression is. I always get expressions wrong because I was raised by foreigners, and you learn all of your expressions from your parents. And when your parents' expressions are all in Farsi and they're all completely inappropriate for children to hear and say, but that's what I was raised with. Anyway, my point is, I went on 3 dates, so I'm going to tell you about all 3 of them. The first one, he chose a restaurant that was 5 minutes away from him, 30 minutes away from me. Like when I told him where I lived and he told me where he lived, I figured he would pick a restaurant that's halfway, not in his neighborhood where he's a regular, like when it's so far away. It was a $70 round trip Uber for this. And we had like fine conversation. It was mostly like him, like me talking and him kind of being like, was he being cagey or just not talkative? Either way, it was a lot of him asking me questions too. And at the end, I go to call my Uber, and he's like, a lot of girls ask me to pay for their Ubers. And I'm like, why the fuck is he telling me this? I'm not asking him. And it's something it's very pick me girl, like he was trying to get me to be like, those whores. It's like, yeah, man, when it's a $70 round trip, like you're going on dates with multiple girls that are probably living very far away from you, and having them schlep your way. You're so selfish. Now, I should have checked it before I agreed to it to see how far it was. I mean, 30 minutes is a long drive and for a date, and when it's 5 minutes for the other person. So that was my first date. And then my second date his neck had a waddle that was flopping around. It was like distracting how much it was flopping around when he would talk. Like his mouth would go one way, the waddle would go the other direction. And that was okay. It was one of those things where I'm like, okay, can I get past a waddle? I don't know. But personality-wise, he's like, well, I think dating apps are dishonest. Which, first of all, why are you on one then? He's like, you're dating multiple people, and then you could get intimate with one of them, and you're still dating other people, but you're not exclusive. And it's like, yeah, that's how life is generally. But you're just, maybe with less volume on a regular basis. But I've dated multiple people at, like, who I hadn't met at dating apps concurrently, and there's an airplane going. Sorry if you hear it. Yeah. And people who I did not meet on dating apps. And So it can happen, but the point is, this is the gamble that you're taking, that yeah, this person is meeting other people, like you, just like you're swiping, they're swiping. But he's like, and then and I'm like, what do you, he's like, and then I'm like, well, then at some point you would be exclusive with that person if it goes that way. Like, and he's like, well, after so many dates, you know. And it was just this whole thing where I was like, I don't really care if I ever see this guy again. So I'm not going to put too much effort into the conversation because I was already getting exhausted by his waddle. Exhausted. Every time it was so distracting and hard to make eye contact with that man. So that was number 2. Number 3, I mean, definitely lied about his height. He was very sweet. I was open to seeing him again, but I never heard from him again. Like, I was one of those where I was like, maybe, I don't know. Like, I'm not like feeling butterflies, but I don't think you should feel butterflies as a grown ass woman trying to date. Like, not in the beginning at least. Maybe butterflies eventually, but you know, like, I think it's just excitement. Like, I'm excited to see this person or get to know this person in the beginning. I think that is with the millions of hours of therapy I'm getting a week. Right now I'm getting 10 hours of therapy a week. 9 hours at this intensive outpatient center and 1 session with my regular therapist. Like, I am really, really working on myself, and it's a lot. But back to these dates. Yeah, this last guy, I was like, he seems cool. But anyway, so it was 0 for 3. And I just got to keep on keeping on if I want to meet someone, if I want to actually be in a relationship. And I do. I want a partner. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that out loud. But I know that it's a numbers game. My friend Gabby Conti wrote an article and made a video about the fact that she went on 30 dates in 3 days, and two of the dates happened to be her now husband. So, I mean, she played the numbers game and she met this great guy who's like totally right for her. Like, they're both very equally weird, and in a good way. And that's what it takes. You gotta kiss a lot of toads, I guess, before you meet your frog, or before you meet your prince. You graduate from toad to frog and then prince. Okay. I wanted to talk about, because I've noticed a lot of people around me are not equipped for this, how to deal with a narcissist. Like, there's a technique called gray rocking, which is where you just give them no reaction because they're trying to get a reaction out of you, and you just don't give it to them. And it's great. It's effective. But I think sometimes you need to go one level higher, and that's when you out narcissist them and you start talking about yourself and talking at them until you get to the point where their eyes, I mean, they will have what's called the narcissistic glaze, which is a look that narcissists give you when you're talking not about them or the subject that they want to speak about, where their eyes glaze over. It's very, it's like sometimes, when you can, like, you still pretend to be engaged even if you're not. Narcissists don't do that. They just completely, their eyes glaze over. But you do this as a tool to reflect from, like, whatever garbage they're trying to throw your way, like whatever manipulation they're pulling. So that is my tip of the week. I don't know, maybe I'll start doing tips of the week. What's going on in the world? There's a new study that shows human intelligence is sharply declining. And people are reading less, and they're blaming COVID for it. And I mean, yeah, we're definitely reading less. I'm personally listening to books on audio and podcasts like this one. Like, I'm not necessarily reading books anymore, so I get it. I don't know if I'm as sharp as I used to be. In general, I try to, like, do brain games and whatnot, but I mean, I think we're all becoming, because we're relying so heavily on technology. Like, I use my Alexa to send me reminders, like alarms, set timers, a lot of reminders. And so it's like, yeah, whereas before I would have used my actual memory to do these things. And now we're relying on technology, and it's made us dumb. And we know it. We know it. Like, this is not a surprise headline. This is something like, yeah, I could see that. Okay, so this is a sad story. Do I want to talk about it? There was this guy that was held in captivity for almost 20 years by his evil stepmother and his garbage father, but his garbage father died, and I think things went slightly worse. But he was like, I mean, it's completely horrifying. And he got out by setting the house on fire. And I have to say, good for him. Like, it's too bad he didn't burn down his stepmom. Not that anyone should do that. But I'm saying, if it happened, I wouldn't be like, oh no. I'd be like, I'm glad he's out. I'm glad he's out. He was emaciated. Okay, so there's a German woman. If you're on YouTube, you're going to see a photo of her right now. She is white and identifies as black, and she wants to move to Africa. Now, she has gigantic 32S, S as in Sam, breasts, so they're like completely basketball size. And then she gets injections of this thing called melanotan, where it darkens your skin, and then goes in tanning salons. So she looks a little bit like Magda from Something About Mary, but even more severe, with, like, I think it's a wig that's meant to look like black women's hair. And she is worried that she won't have a lot of business opportunities in Africa. Oh my God. I forgot to mention, she is married. There's a human being who said to himself, I want this porn star Rachel Dolezal to be my wife. And I'm going to be supportive and move to Africa with her from Germany. And I sometimes look at people like that and I'm like, okay, I am single. And I really feel like, I'm not, I also want to know who is hiring this woman as a model? Like who's in what catalog or what brand is like, you know what we need to sell our jeans? We need a white woman in blackface and with gigantically scary breasts. That's going to sell our denim. You know what I mean? No one's saying this. Like, what work opportunities? I want to know what the husband does for a living and how he is able to support all of this tanning. Anyway, that's all for today. That's all I got for you. I hope you enjoyed listening. Thank you for listening. Please like the video, subscribe to the podcast, maybe leave a little review, some kind words, tell a friend, post about it, anything. Carrier pigeon it to your loved ones. Whatever you got to do, please help spread the word. Thanks, you guys.